Hey guys, what's up? Sorry about that. The social media shit's exhausting. Please forgive me. I'm not good at it. Guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Darwin. You've probably seen a few of my other videos. If you haven't, please go check them out. I wanted to do a quick one today just because everyone and their mother has decided to do a video on the recession that's coming up. This is late 2019. I figured in the spirit of independence and not doing what everyone else did, I would also do one. So, now that we're here, this is my quick take. Couple of things. I am not a finance guru. I don't know everything, and no one can predict the future, okay? So now that we have all that out of the way, this is my take on where we are in the real estate market specifically. If you want to know about stocks and bonds and all the crazy finance stuff, I'm probably not the guys to do that. If you are interested in that, my favorite finance channel out there is called RealVision. I'll put a link to them down here in the video notes, but they are awesome. Also, a quick aside, Gidget the dog is running around, so if you hear some clickety-clacking, that's just her being a dog. We're not sorry because she's in charge here. Anyway, I want to talk about the recession. I hear this from tons of people at work. I hear this people asking me about it all the time. Is a recession coming? What's going to happen? Blah, 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 blah. Here's my take on things, okay? If you're in the real estate market, you're exposed in a couple of different ways, right? You don't want your property value to drop, although you don't have a whole lot of control over it. And you need to be able to get loans, right? The real estate industry functions on credit. So let's take a couple quick minutes and talk about exactly what can go into a recession and where we are now, all right? And again, this is specific to real estate. So if that's not your thing, I don't know, appreciate you watching and buy me a coffee or something like that. First one in real estate is the law of supply and demand. This is super basic economics. You probably heard some guy yap about it in high school or college or maybe both. But that's the thing that's going to drive real estate pricing the most out of anything else is supply and demand, okay? So what does that look like? It's good today. What that means is, do people want to rent or buy your place, depending on what market you're in? So if you live in a city that's growing, there's a lot of people coming in, there's jobs to be had, people are making money, they need a place to live, right? That's why we all love real estate, is because people need it. There's no other way unless you want to camp out in grandma's backyard, but it's 115 outside. So the big one is demand. How do we gauge demand, right? So in the real estate market, what I like to do is I look at what's called the days on market. What that means is how long has a property been for sale or for rent? If no one's buying, and that happens on a broad scale, then we have a problem, okay? So that's the first thing that drives a recession, is that there's not demand for property. People don't want it anymore, they can't afford it, therefore values drop. Right now in August of 2019, here in Phoenix, demand is crazy high. We got tons of people moving to the valley, they all need a place to live, markets are super competitive, and anything cheap is really, really hard to get. So for me, demand is definitely a thumbs up that the market is still in a very healthy place and that values will continue to at least stay stable or rise for the foreseeable future, okay? The second part of are we gonna have a recession, which nobody knows and I don't either, are interest rates, okay? If it costs more to borrow money, people are going to be able to afford less. Let me know if I need to repeat that. If it costs more to borrow money, people can afford to borrow less money, right? So right now, August of 2019, we've had another drop in interest rates. It looks like the Fed might even drop them one more time to keep the economy going. No one really knows until they have their meeting. But for right now, interest rates are extremely favorable to borrowing money, and so people are able to afford more house. When the mortgage interest rates creep up, right now I'm seeing 3, 4, 5%. When they start getting up into the 6, 7, 8, 9 range, it's going to just shrink the buying power of your average buyer, right? So you're not going to be able to afford as much house. So interest rates, demand, we said that's in the plus category. Interest rates also in the plus category, meaning these things are indicative of a healthy market right now. They don't predict the future, okay? This one, I'm going to go ahead and say this is a problem. And this one is consumer credit. What that means is your average American walking around carrying credit cards or carrying other types of consumer debt, right? And people have record levels of consumer debt right now. Credit card balances are high, car loans are really high, consumer spending is really high, but people are taking a lot of that. They're not paying for it with cash, they're paying for it with debt. And that can get a little bit sketchy, right? So as of right now, this one's going in the negative category. The other goofy thing about consumer credit that you have to watch out for, and this is difficult to do in the real estate market, is that consumer credit is also securitized. What that means is that your credit card debt or your mortgage debt or your car payment debt or any other type of debt you have is packaged and collateralized and sold off as a security to other investors. If this sounds familiar, it's pretty similar to what was going on in the mortgage crisis back in the heady days, 2003, 4, 5, 6, and 7, when anyone could get a mortgage and that debt was being packaged and securitized. That's where we are with consumer credit right now, okay? So that one's going in the negative category. The last one are wages, right? How much you make from a given job. What is a job worth? What's your average person getting paid? What are they taking home? And how is that affected by the cost of living, right? So what's going to have to happen on that is that wages are going to have to rise in order for this economy to keep going the way it's going. Right now, and for a long time, wages have been flat, meaning when you index them for inflation, the average person isn't really making any more money than they were years ago, right? But everything's getting more expensive. So that's sketchy, right? If you've got the same amount of money, but you got to pay more to live, what's going to happen? As of right now, the flat wages are resulting in consumer credit debt, right? That's how it is. So your average Joe homeowner, they're going to put down as little money as they can when they move into that house. Then they're going to get everything that goes into a house. They're going to buy a new sofa. They got to decorate it. They got to paint it. They got to do all the things. And that's all done on credit, okay? So where we are right now, with this whole recession thing, I don't personally see us ever having a crisis again like we did in 2008. I don't think the fundamentals are there, and the regulations and the lending practices on real estate are still pretty tight, okay? There are some loosey-goosey consumer loans out there in this world, right? Car loans are being extended out to 7 years, which is crazy. People are bottom feeding in terms of who they'll lend money to on cars and consumer goods. I got an email the other day from my favorite computer repair store that they're leasing out used laptops for $79 a month. I mean, there's some wacko stuff going on here, and it's all a result of this cycle in that we have flat wages, we have a ton of consumer debt out there, and the other part, this is the one I want you to go check out RealVision for, right, is the business cycle. C-Y-C-L-E. Sorry for my handwriting, I know it sucks. What that is saying is that where we are, the business cycle, meaning the index in which businesses spend and contract, right? It goes like this. We are getting up towards a peak in the business cycle. Big, large-scale capital investments aren't happening. We've got some escalating trade war issues with China and all this other stuff. And there's guys out there that know more about that than I do. For me, in the real estate market, what does that mean? That means that you need to double down on your efforts for underwriting. You need to make smart purchases. And you need to, if you're in the flipping or the wholesaling business, it means get in and get out quick and try to minimize your exposure to the market because things can turn on a dime. Okay? So that's my whole deal in the recession. I don't think it's going to crash out tomorrow. It might not even crash out for a couple of years. But you do need to be aware of what's going on in the market and that these two forces are competing. There's a lot of people who need housing, but their finances aren't great and their wages aren't going up. Where does that leave you as a real estate investor? I don't know. For me as a landlord, it means I want to provide a nice B, C housing and office mix so that if things do go badly, I've got people who are moving down out of nicer places to kind of belt tighten. They're going to want my apartments. And if things go well, the people who might not be doing all that well right now can afford to step up. So I want to be in that middle ground where either way the economy goes, I've got more demand for my rental properties. So anyway, guys, I hope that helped. That's just my take on things. I'm not a genius. Hit that subscribe button for me. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one. Cool? Gidget says thanks for watching.